Morning, everybody. I welcome you all to this morning service. You turn with me to the book of Ephesians, chapter 4, and this is verse 32. Ephesians chapter 4, 32. And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as you could read that as just as God, for Christ's sake, hath forgiven you. See, what he's saying there is for us to extend the same kindness and the same forgiveness that God extended to us on account of Jesus. Now that is really, really big, because one, it tells you what you're capable of doing. Doesn't mean that you're automatically doing it, but it shows you what your potential is. And the reason why that is possible is because of what we see in 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 4. Did you know if they had given that commandment to the Old Testament people, they couldn't have kept it? And that was because they weren't a partaker of the divine nature that we are. This is 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 4. Whereby are given unto us exceeding great promises, great and precious promises, that by these ye might be partakers of the divine nature. The word partaker is actually participator. Having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. You escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust when you got born again. So when you got born again, your nature on the inside changed. You became a sharer of the divine nature of God. And that empowers you to forgive as Jesus did. See, God is never going to ask you to do something that He hasn't equipped you to do. Whatever be it that He has called you to do, you're supernaturally empowered to do. Whether you do it or not depends on how much you yield yourself to the Spirit. But from His side, He has equipped you totally to fulfill what He has called you to do. And this shows that you can love and forgive as Jesus did because of who you are on the inside, a partaker of the divine nature. Father, we thank you for this morning. Father, we thank you, Father, for bringing us here this morning, Father, as your children, as your family, Father. Father, we thank you for having equipped us adequately and more to fulfill what you've called us to do. Thank you, Father, for so generously sharing your nature with us that we have no lack in Christ. Father, we thank you for giving us the ability to love and walk in love as you did, Father. And help us, Father, that as we grow into who we are, into all that you've created us to become, we pray, Father, that we will hear your voice clearly, that we would learn to listen to what you've said in your word and be a doer of all the potential that you've put in your word in us. Father, we bless the service, Father. We thank you for bringing us here today. We thank you for your Holy Spirit with us, helping us celebrate the name of your Son. We bless you, Father. We give you praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Hallelujah. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. Let's stand up as we worship the Lord. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing holy, holy, holy. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, oh Lord, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing holy, holy, holy. To see you high and lifted up, Lord, you're shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. I want to see you. Holy, holy, holy. Jesus, holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. I want to see you. Sing, church. We say, holy, holy, holy. That you are holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. I want to see you. We sing holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. I want to see you. God, you are holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. And I want to see you. I want to see you. Jesus, oh, worship you, Father God. Lord, we lift you up, oh Father God. Lord, we join with the host of angels and we say that you are holy, Father. God, you are holy, Master God, for there is none beside you, Father. Lord, you are holy. Open the eyes of our heart, that in our hearts we may know, Father, that you are holy, that you are holy, and there is none beside you, Jesus. There is none beside you, Father. There is none beside you, God. Lord, you reign from everlasting to everlasting. Oh, we worship you, Father God. Lord, yet you came as man to dwell among us. You came as man to dwell among us, oh Father God. And your word says in John 8:36, whom the Son sets free, you shall be free. Lord, we are who you say we are, oh Father God. Not what we think whom we are, but what you say, Father God. Yes, Jesus. Who am I that the highest King would welcome me? I was lost, but he bought me, and oh, his love for me, oh, his love for me. Oh, the sun sets me, always free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Free and last He has ransomed me, oh His grace runs deep. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, He died for me. Whom the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, oh, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Whom the Son sets free, oh, it's free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Free and last He is ransomed me, oh His grace runs deep. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, He died for me. The Son sets free, oh, it's free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's so much place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Who the Son sets free, oh, it's free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's so much place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. Oh, we worship you, Lord. Oh, we worship you, Father God. We exalt your holy name, O Master. Lord, for in our Father's house there's so much place for us, oh Father God. Thank you, O Lord, for making place for us in our Father's house. Where we get to heaven, there is place for us. And on this earth, there is place for us in God's church. Because we belong to a God. We belong to a mighty God. We belong to a mighty God. Oh, Jesus, we worship you, Father God. Lord, you sit in the heavens and the earth is your footstool, oh Master. We worship you, Father God, for there is none like you, oh Father. We worship you for your word is ever settled in the heavens, oh Father. We worship you, Father, for you speak, oh Father God, and it comes to pass. Lord, you say and your purpose stands, oh Master. We worship you, Father, for you made the heavens and the earth, oh Master. We worship you, Father God, for darkness flees from you, oh Master. We worship you, for in you is life, oh Master. We worship you, for we know that our hope is from you, oh Lord. We worship you, Father God, that even with these stones and chairs will not shout out your praise, but we, your people, we will shout out your praise, oh Master, in the land of the living, in this city, in this land. We will shout out your praise, oh Father God. For from eternity to eternity, you alone are God, oh Master. For you are God of the angel armies, oh Father God. You say it, and your saints and your host of angels carry out your word, oh Master. Oh, we worship you. We worship you. Church, don't let this moment go. Do not stay silent in the presence of God. For where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. For where the Holy Spirit of God is, if we believe, we will see the glory of God. Where the Holy Spirit of God descends, there is the presence of God. And do not stay silent in His presence, church. This is where we find our answers. This is where the place, the solution is. I can feel the presence of God all over this place. I can feel His presence. Just lift up your hands and experience heaven. Experience heaven, for I can see the Lord. I can see His angel armies. I can see the Lord. For who is like Him, church? It's worth living for God. It's worth serving Him. Worship Him. He is the reason for our living. He is the reason for our living. He is the purpose for us. Oh, there is healing in this place. Oh, there is healing in this place. Healing of the soul. Healing of the families. Oh, where the Spirit of the Lord is there solution from depression. Oh, God can set you free from those thoughts that you are having. Oh my God, it's the most powerful person you could ever know on this earth. Church, lift your hands up. Lift your hands up and experience heaven in this place. Experience experience heaven in this place. Do not ask God now. Just give Him worship. Give Him praise. Oh, give it up to Him, church. Give it up to Him. How long would we just want to keep asking and receiving? I feel we need to give it to Him this morning. Just give it to Him this morning. For He is God. For He is God. There is just nothing else that can match Him. He is God. No matter what your situation is, I'm telling you today, He is God for who He is. Worship Him, church. Worship Him. We don't need anyone to tell us to worship Him. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God, we worship you, Father. We worship you, Jesus. Oh, we worship you, Lord. Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. I worship you. God, I worship you, Jesus. Jesus, I worship you. This is my desire, Lord, to honor you, Lord, with all my heart, I'll worship you. All I have within me, Lord, I give you praise. All that I adore is in you. Lord, I give you my heart. I give you my soul. I live for you alone. Every breath that I take, every moment I'm awake. Lord, have your way in me. Lord, I give you my heart. I give you my soul. I live for you alone. Every breath that I take, every moment I'm awake. Lord, have your way in me. This is my desire, Lord, to honor you. Lord, with all my heart, I worship you. All I have within me, Jesus, Lord, I give you praise. All that I adore is in you. Lord, I give you my heart. I give you my soul. I live for you alone. Every breath that I take, every moment I'm awake. Lord, have your way in me. Lord, I give you my heart. I give you my soul. I live for you alone. Every breath that I take, every moment I'm awake. Lord, have your way in me. Oh, we worship you, Jesus. Oh, we worship you, Father God. Oh, Rashati Kalara Baba Baba Siti Kalara. The next song we're going to do, it says, build this house. It talks about committing and surrendering our lives. If you experience the Lord and the presence of the Lord in this service, please join with me and sing this song. It says, Lord, unless you build this life, it's just building it is in vain. And Lord, I want something that will last when your holy fire will come, Lord. All I am and all I have is yours. There's nothing that I have on earth that doesn't come from you. I lay aside my pride and worldly worth. Jesus, to serve you is the greatest thing that I could ever do. For unless you build this house, I am building it in vain. Unless the work is yours, there is nothing to be gained. I want something that will stand when your holy fire comes. Something that will last, and to hear you say, well done, giving glory to you, Lord. Giving glory to you, Lord. So easy to desire what others have, instead of seeing all the gifts that you have given me. So help me fan the flame which you began, and burn in me your love for you that all will clearly see. For unless you build this house, I am building it in vain. Unless the work is yours, there is nothing to be gained. I want something that will stand when your holy fire comes. Something that will last, and to hear you say, well done, giving glory to you, Lord. Giving glory to you, Lord. For unless you build this house, I am building it in vain. Unless the work is yours, there is nothing to be gained. I want something that will stand when your holy fire comes. Something that will last, and to hear you say, well done, giving glory to you, Lord. Giving glory to you, Lord. I surrender all.
All
unless the work is yours, there is nothing to be gained. I want something that will stand when your holy fire comes, something that will last, and to hear you say, well done, giving glory to you, Lord, giving glory to you, Lord. Jesus. Oh, we worship you, Father God. Lord, we worship you. We thank you for your presence, oh Father. Thank you for your mood among us with power. Thank you, Lord, that we could experience you this morning. Thank you, Lord, for you came and you dwelt in our praise. As we move into your word, we pray that you will speak to us, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. We be seated, we'll move in.
I'm here to tell about the VBS that happened. You're seeing all the display. We had a wonderful time. Almost around 40 children plus they registered, and we had teachers and volunteers. This time, the next generation, they came up as volunteers. That was really wonderful. And the theme was I am free. And each day they had songs, they had skits, they had a mystery man. It was nice. The children really enjoyed everything that was said and done. And yesterday we had a wonderful closing day ceremony here with the house packed with parents coming and witnessing what the children had learned all those days. And we gave them gifts, tiffin boxes. And this time there was the church logo and the verse printed, and that was a real addition. It was really lovely to see the children being impacted. And one testimony in the VBS is there was a girl who had come, a young girl who was pregnant. She came forward for prayer. And then she said, I had come to this VBS. நான் சின்ன பிள்ளையா இருக்கும்போது நான் இங்கே இதே இடத்துல VBSக்கு வந்தேன், maybe 10-15 years back. Now she's married and she is settled in Tirupur. She says, ஒரு சம்மரும் VBS சம்மர் வரும்போது நான் இங்கே இந்த VBS நினைப்பேன். இந்த முறை நான் வந்து இங்கே சென்னைக்கு come to Chennai, and she has sent her nieces and nephews and even other children around the place. So this is it was a real source of encouragement to us. So we thank and praise the Lord for it. And then regarding May 1st, we're having our retreat on the 1st of May at Vishranti. So those of us, many of us have told, and again after the service, you're welcome to do so. After the first service here, we'll be going, and transportation, those who would love to make use of it, you can do so. So now we'll move into God's word. Pastor will be coming and delivering the word. We can clap our hands and welcome.
Every time we worship the Lord, we know the presence of God comes down. But there are special time of visitation, a special time in which the Spirit of God chooses to move. And this morning, in the early part of the worship, that's what has happened. How many of you felt a tangible presence of God this morning for the Lord to heal you and the Lord to heal your families? Lift your hands up. It is going to be what the Lord had said. He is going to set right many things in our life. Please see that this humming sound doesn't come. it's going to be that way. God is healing your families, your feelings, your soul, and you're going to see a greater move in your life. And there's nothing that is worth in this world than to live and to serve the living God. Amen. Amen. This morning I'm into not in a very serious subject, very simple subject, but yet a powerful subject. I'm called to say you a sentence this morning. I don't know how you are going to take it. It's a very familiar sentence, and but it depends on your response. Something good is going to happen to you. I heard only a couple of amen. Amen. Something good is going to happen to you. The summing sound. Please switch off all the other things. Something is going to happen to you. Something good, something wonderful, something beyond your expectation, something great is going to happen to you. How many of you? It's slowly going down. Amen. We are in the midst of the election. You know, I'm making this confession every day. Amen. Different paces go by, different statistics emerge, and news houses are telling different things. It started like this. You see, every day I'll stand and I confess, seeing all the direction. In this land, something good is going to happen. I know it is against my natural mind. I know it is against my, my understanding of politics and for years, maybe my 30 plus years of experience. But I shout aloud and I say, something is going to happen to this land. Good, not bad. We don't want that Sri Lanka to repeat here. We don't want the resurrected Sunday to be a dead Sunday for many lives. We cannot let this happen in our land. We cannot let this happen where we go, where we live. The Lord said, wherever you go, I will come with you. Today, God had placed us in this land. Something good is going to happen to you. Amen. Something good. Say something good. Something good is going to happen to me. Something good is going to happen to me. See, the more you say, the more faith you will develop. I am telling you a secret. See, first you say you will not believe, but keep telling it to the point, ultimately you will believe the words that is coming out of your mouth. Amen. Because this is the subject I struggled for a long time when I was a young preacher. But today my head says something, and I think I have not acquired that authority all of a sudden. But it is time for us to understand. There are reasons for, you see, why people are finding it difficult. See, this whole month in the evening service, this is what we've been dealing. I'm glad at the beginning, Brother Valentine took the same subject. You see, God's promises is something that we need to know. They are precious. They are given to us to lead a supernatural life. See, Psalm 118, the word, I believe in verse 7, there is a word which says, you see, the Lord is by your side. The Lord is on your side. Another translation says, if you just flick your hand, your enemies will fall like a flies. Hallelujah. See, but yet we are not experiencing, or yet it's difficult for us to comprehend what the Word of God says. 2 Corinthians 1:20 was the thing that I've been again and again, maybe in this recent months I have dealt almost 10-15 times, telling again and again. See where the problem lies. Shall we read it again? I believe we all know it by heart. See, all the promises are, let us put it in a very simple word. All the promises are yes in Christ Jesus. I've been dealing it for a couple of weeks in the evening service. What is the great difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament? You see, today, all the promises are yes from God's side. But there is a key there, or there is a hitch, or there is something that we will have to turn there, and that is what the Bible says. You see, but who will have to say the yes? Who will have to say the yes? I will have to say the yes. See, all the promises, you see, all the promises in the Word of God, whether that promise was given to Adam, or that promise was given to Abraham, or that promise was given to anyone who lived in the Old Testament and also in the New Testament, the Word is not talking about the curse there. In Christ, Christ had become the curse so that all the blessings of Abraham can come on our life. Amen. And the Word says, all the promises are yes from God's side. But it is not going to happen automatically. I will have to say the yes, not just the word yes, but my yes has to come from my heart. My yes had to come from my total being. I can say so many things, but in the spiritual world, nobody can bluff. See, when I say that yes, God's yes and my yes causes the glory of God to come. That's what, you see, even though that word was so simple, but it contains a lot of power. In God, you see, it is like, you see, they have given all the promises of God are yea and amen. Amen. The word says here, but in Christ, amen had to be told. Amen is already said in heaven, and amen is on the throne. One of the name of the Son of God is amen. And today, why that word is mentioned again in the book of Revelation? Because every time, you see, we are not in the Old Testament time. When Jesus lived, people went and asked God, you see, Jesus asked, what do you want me to do? People, when they said, Lord, I want to be healed, Jesus said, be healed. And when people asked, Lord, is it your will that I should be healed? God said, I will that you should be healed. But today, it is amen, forever settled. God's word and God's promises are forever settled from the heaven side. Amen. But we have to accept it and say amen. And when we say amen, the glory of the Lord will be revealed. You see, in that word, it was so hurriedly written, like that way they have translated, that amen is to be said for the glory of God. So when the glory will appear? When I say the yes. Amen. The glory of the Lord will be seen on the face of the earth when we say yes, defying all the logics that runs in our mind, defying everything that we continue to hear, defying everything, every story, every real life issues that we have ever heard and studied of. We want to see the glory of God. There is no human explanation for the glory of God. It is supernatural. That is the reason that second Peter chapter 1 and verse 4 it is written, through the promise of God, we can partake in the divine nature, not a human nature. In divine nature or attributes that only belongs to God. God says, by believing my promise, you are partaking in that divine nature. For those with a humble heart, it's easy to accept. For those with a lot of head knowledge, it's difficult to accept. For example, I said one statement this morning. Something good is going to happen to every one of us. Not only once, it will become an everyday business for us. Hallelujah. The word says, you see, maybe that word I have chosen, you see, Psalm 103, verse 1 to 5. Maybe in English service we don't repeat, but in every common service we say that all the 5 verses. It says, He crowneth you with loving kindness and tender mercy. See, how many of you believe, or at least we have imagined, you see, we all have a crown. Yes, there is a crown waiting for us when we go to heaven. When the Son of God will take and give to us and telling, my faithful servant. But here, while we have a being on this earth, the Bible says, He crowneth us with loving kindness and tender mercies. Amen. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless His holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all His benefits, who forgiveth all your iniquities. Because sin need to be removed first for the Lord to interfere. And second, who healeth all your diseases. You see, this all is very important. And who redeemeth thy life from destruction. You see, it's talking about the hell. Some translation says pit. That is a bottomless pit. It's not that 4 feet or 6 feet pit that we dig at the burial ground. And who crowneth thee with loving kindness and tender mercies. I stop at there. See, how many of you believe with me that it is an ongoing process? It is an ongoing process. It is an ongoing process. To accept it or to reject it is in our hand. Hallelujah. To accept it or to reject it is in our hand. See, as I have grown in a Christian circle, I have seen many of my age group people, even as I grew, many went as missionaries. And sometimes sad to say that after seeing them, you see, after decades, their relationship with God, their attitude with God, and sometimes I wonder, you see, a couple of people I also counted, some of the big names, I don't want to say. See, people do missionary work, and they think missionary work, see, for example, you know about that missionary, he went to that city, and he prayed and he prayed and he prayed for the revival of that city. And in poverty he lived. And in poverty he died. Good things does not happen to all. These are all some of the statements that we hear in the kingdom of God. These are some of the statements. See, once it so happened in one of the pastors' meeting, one great missionary leader who came and spoke something like this: here all the Christians are really prosperity, they are enjoying prosperity, and all the pastors are having one car, two cars. He was only talking about it for half an hour, and he somehow consumed 2 hours. And at the lunch, I went straight to him. I told him like this: you see, he's a very big name in the missionary circle. I told him, Pastor, I want you to understand one thing. You are there in the northern part, and I believe in supporting missionaries. Our church supports missionaries, and we personally support missionaries. But I want you to also note one thing. Have you ever seen a circus on the road? There will be 2 bamboos this side and 2 bamboos on that side, and there will be a rope tied on that. Have you ever seen that? And there will be a girl or a boy dancing over it. You know, you missionaries are like that. And these bamboos and the rope is the church. If the church is not strong, if the people are not taught how to interpret the word of God in real life, if they are not prosperous, they cannot hold any missionary activities. Rather, the missionaries will be needed in our own land. So when you come and speak to the ministers, just encourage them to support the missions. But don't talk pricking them. You are pampering people, you are doing this, you are doing that. Once if somebody is in poverty, how we will be able to send a missionary aid? It is the responsibility of the local church to tell to the people why this living word is given in our hand, how we can win this world by our faith. That's what the Bible says. This is the force with which you can overcome the world. That is our faith. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. See, he didn't have an answer because a couple of servants of God were around, and he simply smiled. And when I said, Pastor, it's good for you to raise money, but don't prick the people. Don't prick the local pastors, or don't prick the congregations. Because they are doing well, they are able to support you. They are able to support the church. Hallelujah. You see, we need to come out of this thing. Because years before, when I was praying for a particular issue, and after some time I asked the same person, what is your take on the baptism of the Holy Spirit? A fervent man, very sincere man, gave his life for the Lord, and he was doing a full-time work. And I in my prayer time, I used to ask God, Lord, why these things should happen to him? And you know what he said? It is not that I will have to be filled with the Spirit. I will have to be speaking in tongues. I will have to do this. It is not needed. I think I can, with my redemption experience, I can do the work of God. At that time, I was very young. I didn't have an answer to tell to him. At least on his face, I didn't have the courage to tell. But the Spirit of God told, man is created in my image. He can choose what he wants to choose. And he can reject what he wants to reject. My whole Bible is given into every hands. And people choose and they reject few things. They choose, you see, correspondingly, they don't understand. When they reject certain things, they are rejecting my whole grace, my full loving kindness. Hallelujah. It's a simple message, but I want you to get the spirit of this. God had created us in His image. And God wants us to have everything. It is like a big banqueting house, not a banqueting table. God's provisions are a banqueting house. And we choose to say, I needed only this. I don't need all these things. I can do this. Yes, you can do that. Because you are created in Lord's image. And God will give you grace to do that. But it is very important for us to understand. As on that day Samuel said, Lord, speak to me. Your servant heareth. Hallelujah. Something good is going to happen to you. Amen. Instantly we should be learning to say amen. Hallelujah. Because glory of God is revealed only in the answer that we give to the provision that God had already made. Amen. See, God is not giving us, God is not waiting for us to show, I will wait for this and then I will, I'm going to reward him for this, like that. But God wants us to enjoy the benefits of His love. The benefits of His love. The benefits of His love. Hallelujah. The benefits of His love. And that is made available to us by paying the price. If it is difficult for us to believe that we are crowned with His goodness and His tender mercies, to say that word, it is not a human word. It is forever settled word. Jesus had to wear the crown of thorns, crown made of thorns. He had to seal it. One day the Lord just illustrated me, you see, like a gift that is wrapped in the blood. His own blood. It is not, you see, healing comes, you see, who forgiveth all your sins. And it is wrapped in the precious blood of Jesus Christ. To deny that God heals today is denying the work on the cross. Hallelujah. For something to happen, for some good thing to happen in my life, God had taken something very bad in His life. To bring that loving kindness. Hallelujah. You know what is loving kindness? I believe none of us know the exact extent of the meaning of loving kindness and tender mercies. Amen. It is not a feeling. It is a virtue of God. It is a character of God, which cannot be measured with our feeling. So many times, believers are tied to their feelings. Amen. The word says, who satisfieth, you see, your mouth with good things. You know where the devil creates a problem? We don't let the word dwell in our mouth richly. We don't allow the Spirit of God to satisfy our mouth with good things. Amen? And that is the reason it's very difficult for us to believe that something good is going to happen to us. Hallelujah. See, I tell you one simple example. You go to a market, a supermarket, a mall, or what do you call that? There is one mall in VR Mall, it's called Spar. You go there, you purchase everything, and you come to the billing counter. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, there are around 12 billing counters are there. And on that day, imagine, only 2 counters are working. Amen. So you already picked up a lot of things. You are already pushing your cart and you are waiting. There are around 10 people before you. And there is one person, he is arguing, And that bill counter fellow says that the amount is not written there. So he sends one person to get the amount. And the thing goes on. And it takes almost 5 to 10 minutes per person. It all can happen. You know how many times it happened to us? Huh? And you know, we see this. What is happening? What that fellow is doing. Huh? You see, we are fuming inside. Understand that? Sometimes we don't understand. We let the devil steal the day. We let the devil steal the day. We are so angry. And we say, useless fellow. See, what we need to know, he is qualified for the job. He is paid for the job. He is worth for the job. If he is that brilliant, if he is that qualified, he would have been a CEO of that company. Am I right? He is qualified and he is paid and he is doing his job sincerely. But here we are, before us were around 10 people. And when we reach the counter or before reaching the counter, that depends on the time. And I say, I must give him the peace of my mind. So your P-E-A-C-E, you have given him on that day. Not the peace, P-I-E-C-E. So what happened? You come out in the heat of the moment, you spoke something. If he retaliates, then it becomes a big story. If you are alone, you're fine. If you come out, if your spouse agrees with you, it's fine. If she does not agree, again another fight. Okay? So the whole day, when we go and hit the bed, we somehow feel bad. See, even though sometimes people say, I have given him the peace of my mind. But what they don't understand is that they have lost their peace. See, at the end of the day, they feel, no, that whole day is a bad day. Amen. The whole day they will suddenly say, nothing worked. Maybe, see, devil works things like that. Then you take your car and you see a big queue on the parking. See, devil orchestrate things. That's the work of the devil. Who satisfy your mouth with good things. Church, this morning I want you to be really getting the crux of the message this morning. We all are susceptible. The world is living in stress. So it wants to pass on stress. World doesn't have peace to pass it on to us. World is living in stress. Everyone is in stress. If you speak to a fifth standard boy, he is in stress. He is in stress. If you talk to him, he will speak stress. So if you think that world will give peace, world will never give peace. They will make you pieces. Understand? You see, we need to know that we should not be tied to our feelings. As believers, we should be tied to the Word of God. We should be tied to the Word of God. That's the reason the Bible says in Isaiah 26:3, thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Whose mind is stayed on thee. It need to be, our mind need to be resting in the Lord. We need to tell ourselves we are living in this imperfect world. World that is full of stress. The world is willing to pass on that stress. Hallelujah. Amen. Again I repeat before I conclude. Something good is going to happen to you. Amen. Something good is going to happen to me. Hallelujah. Something good is going to happen to everyone. Hallelujah. Shall we just stand to our feet? Let us see the way in which we say yes determines whether we are going to show forth our glory. Our glory is nothing, or the glory of the Lord in and through our life. God's promises are yea and amen. From the heaven side, it is yes. And the word says, through the promises of God, we can partake in divine nature. Sometimes in that human nature lies the feeling, and the feeling wants to rule over us in every time. Never let the feeling rule. This morning, the Spirit of God is speaking to us. This word I said to God, Lord, you are telling me only one sentence. Do you really want me to go and preach over this? God said, go and repeat this even if needed 1,000 times. Something good is going to happen to everyone. And this morning as a servant, I just said this. Open your mouth and say, something good is going to happen to me. On a day-to-day basis, it's going to happen to me. Something good is going to happen to this nation. Something good is going to happen. Something good is going to happen in this state. Something good is going to happen in my children's life. Open your mouth and begin to confess that. Confess that, because the Bible says that He had crowned you with loving kindness and tender mercies. You see, He has worn the thorn that's made of, the crown that's made of thorns. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. The promises of the Lord. The promises of the Lord. Don't say that I am a mere human being. Yes, God knows and everyone knows. You and me need not say we are mere human beings. But the word says that through the word, through the promises of God, we can take part, or we can partake in the divine nature of God. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Oh, we praise you, Jesus. We praise you, Jesus. We praise you, Jesus. Oh, we give you the glory, Lord. We give you the glory, Father. Oh, we give you the glory. 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 Brother will close this time. Praise you. Don't let the Lord satisfy our mouth with good things.
Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Master. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. Thank you, Master. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. Lord, we thank you because, Lord, you are a good God. Master, we thank you because, Lord, your tender mercies are towards us, Lord. Your loving kindness is towards us, Master. Lord, and you work for good in our lives. Lord, we know the thief comes to steal and kill and destroy, but you come, Lord, that we might have abundant life, Master, because of your presence in us. Lord, this morning we thank you. We thank you, Master, for again reaffirming, Lord, that something good that you have planned is going to happen to us. Not just something, Lord, but a lot of things, Master, which are good, Master, which are good, and we receive it this morning. We receive this as a promise, as an assurance from you, because, Lord, you meant good, Master. Right from the beginning, you meant good, Lord. And so we just want to submit to you, Lord, every disbelieving thought, every negative thought, every thought which says that, Master, this far and no further, Lord, every thought that limits your goodness in our minds, Lord, we pray, Master, and Lord, we set it aside. Voluntarily we set it aside, Lord. Your goodness we receive. Your goodness we receive in every part of our being, in our families, in the lives of our children, Lord, in every aspect of our lives, Lord. We receive your goodness, Master. Lord, as your goodness manifests in us, Lord, as things fall in place and we know you are a good God, Master, we pray, Father God, that your name alone will be glorified in our lives, Master, in all your goodness. Lord, we thank you because we know, Lord, it's not a success that the world gives, Lord, but it's a goodness which the Lord gives, a favor which you give, Lord. And so this morning we receive it. We receive it in our spirit and we speak it, Lord. We speak it into our lives, Master. Lord, every negative thing we set it aside and we speak your goodness into our lives. Lord, where we go, the kingdom of God will come and goodness will proceed forth because you are in us and you mean good to us, Lord. Thank you, Lord. We bless your name. We worship you, Lord. We worship you because everyone standing here, everyone who worships here, Lord, the people, Lord, all your people all over the world, even the ones, Master, Lord, who have lost so many of their loved ones, Lord, they will speak and they will know the goodness of God. Master, we thank you. The world will not understand us, but we know, Master, that you are a good, good God, and we bless your name this morning. We worship you, Lord. We worship you. In your matchless name we pray. Amen. Amen. Amen.